Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell? Folks, welcome to my Night 2 review of SummerSlam 2025. We're going to be going through things match by match. I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, did I agree with the booking decisions, and ultimately we're going to try and figure out where things can go from here. And that is a huge question. Where the hell do things go from here? Now, there is a different version of this review over on Patreon with footage so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about on a frame-by-frame basis, and it'll be quite a bit longer than this one as well. So if you want that version of the review, go check out Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap, link in the description or link in the pinned comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm incredibly confident that you are going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. Man, SummerSlam, what a show. What a show. Wrestling truly is cool. All right, let's talk about it. Let's start things off by talking about the women's triple threat match between Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky. This was one of the matches I was the most excited for this weekend. One, because we already know that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky can put together magic. Anytime that they're in the ring together, it's a contender for match of the year. But on top of that, you add a Naomi who is in a renaissance part of her career and doing some of the best work that she's done both as a character and in-ring as well. I just knew that we were in for a really fun match. Now, before you start making the comparisons, I'm just gonna rip the band-aid and tell you that no, I don't think that this is anywhere near as good as the triple threat women's match that happened at WrestleMania 41 involving Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky, and I don't think it even holds a candle to everything that happened at Evolution between Rhea and Io, and of course the cash-in with Naomi. Just because it's not as good as those two monumentally fantastic women's matches doesn't mean that this doesn't hold up on its own, because I really do think that this was a really fun, well-paced match that was a great way to open the show. I will say this isn't my favorite type of triple threat match. For those that have been longtime viewers of this channel, you know that I like those fast-paced triple threat matches where they're doing combo moves between each other and all three people are part of the offense at all times. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of those matches where more often than not, one of the three women would be in the sideline while we basically had a singles match with two of the women in the ring. However, luckily, any two of the three combination that you could put together led to some really fun back and forth as well. But I will say that the best aspects of this match was when all three women were in the ring together exchanging moves with one another. For me, the big highlight was definitely when Rhea Ripley was about to German suplex Io Sky from the top rope, only for Naomi to come in, chop down Rhea, and then do her split-legged moonsault onto Rhea Ripley, only for then Naomi to move out of the way while she's pinning Rhea Ripley as Io Sky is coming down with her over-the-top moonsault. That, to me, is where this match really shined, when we saw all three of them putting offense together. And I will say, I don't feel like we got enough of that. Had we gotten more of that style of match, I think that we could have been having a closer conversation and a closer analysis to this, maybe being closer to the women's triple threat at WrestleMania. I will say, I think that the way that the match ended was really, really smart, because the match ended with Rhea Ripley hitting an avalanche riptide on Io Sky, who, by the way, was absolutely brilliant during this match. And as she's about to get the pin, finally being able to defeat Io Sky in a match for a women's world championship, what happens? We have Naomi come in and roll up Rhea Ripley to pick up the victory and weasel her way out of there as the champion. And this does a lot, right? It keeps the championship on Naomi, and I think that that's the right decision, because there's still a lot of different matches and feuds that they should be exploring with Naomi, and her losing the championship this early on would do a lot of disservice. So I'm glad that they decided to keep the title on Naomi so that we can explore different feuds that we haven't seen before, like her and Stephanie Valkyia at Clash in Paris, which is obviously the next step here for a Naomi. But it also keeps the dream alive, the Rhea Ripley storyline of, will she ever be able to defeat Io Sky? Will she ever be able to pin her? It still keeps that alive and strong. Oh, and by the way, this means that Naomi has now pinned both Io Sky and Rhea Ripley within like the last month, which is kind of insane. And the fact that Rhea still has not been able to beat Io, but has had her on the ropes not once but twice over the last month, to me, keeps the story going of will Rhea Ripley beat made Io Sky, but it makes it bigger and more important. It's, I think, gotten to the point where I think that just simply Io Sky losing to Rhea Ripley, that is enough of a moment to be at WrestleMania now. And I don't think that it needs a title. Like, I genuinely think that they've built up Rhea finally beating Io enough for that in its own to be a WrestleMania moment, and I think that that's pretty cool. But I think it's also really cool that Rhea Ripley took the pin here, because I know a lot of the criticism regarding Rhea Ripley from some fans is that she just never gets pinned, that she's always protected. Well, here you go. She got pinned clean as a whistle too. So overall, I am going to give this match a thumbs up. I don't think that it's perfect. We've definitely seen better from any combination of these women in previous matches, but ultimately a really, really solid opener and a great way to kick off night 2 of SummerSlam. Now let's move on to what was an absolutely insane 6-pack tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWE Tag Team titles involving the Wyatt Six, Andrade and Rey Fenix, DIY, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, and the Street Profits. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is now my new favorite match of the entire year. The TLC match was absolutely insane. I can't do it justice by just talking about it. You need to go and watch this match for yourself if you haven't been able to yet. Here's the thing, my expectations for this match were already like borderline unfair. I was already expecting a match of the year contender, a match that was gonna steal the show. Somehow, make it make sense, they exceeded those expectations. My expectations were already unrealistic, and they somehow managed to blow those expectations out of the water by delivering an absolutely batshit insane match. I do agree, and I was agreeing with some of the criticism going into this match, that they weren't gonna get as much time on the PLE as they did on SmackDown. And I'm here to say that they did. They got a solid 16 minutes where everybody got to shine and look great. What's interesting about this is that I wouldn't say that really there was an MVP. I feel like everybody got their individual moment of shine. Everybody got their individual moment of chaos. And just like I predicted in my predictions video, I didn't say that I said that this wasn't going to be a 12-person match, that this was going to be like 15, because we had B-Fab out there. We had Nikki Cross, Big Red, we had Uncle Howdy, we had Candice LeRae, we had so many extra people in this match, which added to the carnage and the chaos. If I have to pick an MVP, I'm going to say DIY. I felt like DIY probably had like the craziest moments in this match, just like overall. Again, everybody had crazy moments, but DIY just had a couple more, so I'll give them the MVP of this match. Where do I even begin with the highlights of this? Because there were so many insane moments. I think the best moment of the match was this crazy like 4 corners table spot where first Johnny Gargano does his like springboard DDT to the outside through a table on Joe Gacy, and then it pans over to the other corner and there's Dexter Lumis, who does a top rope leg drop to the outside through a table. I don't even know who's there. I think it might be Montez Ford. And then we cut to another corner and it's Rey Fenix, also from the top rope, does a frog splash to the outside on who I think was Nathan Frazier through a table. And then to cap it all off, we have Axiom and Angelo Dawkins doing a Spanish fly from the top rope to the outside through a table, all in like subsequent like bang, bang, bang moments. You couldn't breathe in this match. But I would say that that wasn't even like the most dangerous spot in this. We had an insane moment where Ciampa was literally dangling from the like where the titles are upside down as he was trying to avoid getting speared again from the top. That was a moment where I was like holding my breath like, dear God, Ciampa, please don't die. We had Candice LeRae climbing the ladder to try and help DIY win, only for Johnny Gargano to accidentally push the ladder, which sends Candice LeRae flying off to the outside to where there's a table propped sideways. So she goes like knee first through a ladder. An absolutely insane moment. I think I said table, ladder. She went through a freaking ladder. And then they did the classic TLC moment with DIY as they were about to grab the titles, but there was a setup of like 4 tables on the outside propped up on each other, Jenga style. It gets pushed over and both Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano go through all of those tables in an absolutely insane moment and spot. I love that they use like what the match is, tables, ladders, and chairs. All of the props got the proper amount of love. This was an absolutely fantastic, chaotic match. We even had Uncle Howdy out there eating a sunset sunset powerbomb from Andrade onto a table. Just crazy stuff from beginning to end. Ultimately, the Wyatt Six did end up picking up the victory, which, like, whatever, it's fine. Like, this is why in the predictions, I just put everyone's name in my bald cap and just grab the prediction winner, because who cares who won? Like, genuinely, who gives a damn who won? The real winners, to be a little bit cheesy, was us, the fans, because that match was truly out of this world good. Because it really didn't matter who won, because the SmackDown Tag Team division just needs to continue to do the same thing. In terms of what's next for them, just do the same thing. Just you don't need to overanalyze. You don't need to overthink this. Just keep doing the feuds between everyone in this division. Continue to make the Wyatt Six the big, bad, scary group of this division, and you're gonna be fine. I think just my only piece of feedback is that we need to normalize featuring this tag team division in PLEs, like every PLE. I just think it's hilarious that these guys and girls went to absolute war with each other for the titles. Meanwhile, the Raw tag team division, they were busy arguing for the last slice of pizza in a commercial on night one. Complete night and day between the tag team divisions. This match absolutely rocked my balls off from my body. This rocked thumbs up. Next up, we have Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So this match unfortunately had the really tough task to follow up that insane six-pack TLC match, but I will say I do think that Becky and Lyra did a pretty decent job at following this up. By the way, Becky Lynch has a brand new entrance theme, which I'm sure people are probably pissed off about, or some people are very happy about it. I haven't really listened to it to really give my opinion as to whether I like it or not, but I think it's pretty cool that she used this big match to debut her new entrance theme. All right, so here are my thoughts on Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria, because very similarly to the TLC match, I went into this match almost creating like unfair expectations for how good I wanted this match to be, because Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria have been putting on match of the year contender, match of the year contender, match of the year contender, and here we are in their fourth match, and I was expecting lights out. Here's the thing, I feel like it's a tale of two halves. I feel like they maybe overcomplicated things, because funnily enough, the match was at its best when they simplified things. They really did take advantage of the no holds barred stipulation, no disqualification, no countouts, lots of weapons in this. We had kendo stick galore. We had Lyra Valkyria trying to commit attempted murder with a giant ass crowbar to take off Becky Lynch's head. We had a moment with a fire extinguisher, even a toolbox, and we even had the zip tie moment. And I feel like that right there, when they brought out the zip tie, that's when I felt they overcomplicated things, because Becky Lynch zip ties and basically handcuffs Lyra Valkyria, and now for honestly, I'm not exaggerating here, for like a solid 10 minutes of this match, because this match went for a decent amount of time. It went for about 25 minutes. Lyra Valkyria is literally handicapped. She is having to wrestle with basically just her legs and as she's tied, which I do think is a really peculiar decision, considering the reason why these matches have been so good is because of the fantastic technical work between these two. And when you eliminate that by literally not allowing one of your competitors to do the technical wrestling that has made this feud so good, I think that you kind of unnecessarily shot yourself in the foot with this. That to me is when the match was at its worst. There was even a moment where like the zip ties came off and she like put them back on. It's one of those moments. What are you gonna do? I will say it is impressive what Lyra Valkyria was able to do while she was zip tied, but I know that she could have been doing way more if she wasn't zip tied. Even the whole removing the zip ties moment was really awkward because she literally couldn't get them off. I think she was supposed to be able to cut them off with the fire extinguisher, but it wasn't working. So she went under the ring, disappeared, and then came out without the zip ties. So clearly a crew member under the ring helped cut them off of her. But when the zip ties were off, I think that this is, to me, where the match got as good as I was expecting. But I do think it was a little bit too late at this point for them to really meet the expectations that I set for this match and really get to the same level that they got at Backlash, Money in the Bank, and at Evolution in the Triple Threat. I love the moment, by the way, when Becky Lynch is whooping the hell out of Lyra Valkyria with the kendo stick and doing like Happy Gilmore like golf shots with the kendo stick because, you know, she was in Happy Gilmore too. Crazy moment where Becky Lynch puts Lyra Valkyria like inside a chair and starts swinging the chair with Lyra Valkyria in it against the ring, and then like props her like and jams her in the table and then slams with her foot down to close the chair, and like it like caves onto her chest. It looked pretty gnarly. And then we get to the point where Becky Lynch is about to also commit manslaughter, it seems, and hit Lyra Valkyria with the crowbar. But then we have Bayley making her appearance and stopping Becky Lynch from murdering Lyra Valkyria in front of millions of people watching at home. But then we had a really interesting moment with Becky Lynch there saying she is literally the reason why you're not here. Yes, I made you miss WrestleMania, but she's the one that made you miss SummerSlam, and she's right there. Take the crowbar. 4 horsewomen. Let's go. Bayley didn't bite and ultimately started attacking Becky Lynch. They were brawling. Becky Lynch throws Bayley over the barricade at one point, and then she goes to take a rest onto a Slim Jim table. And then out of nowhere, off camera, great shot. In comes Lyra Valkyria with a top rope leg drop to the outside through the table in a really, really cool spot. The ending was really interesting too, with the ladies going back and forth in the ring, but then Bayley coming in with the chain and going to punch Becky Lynch. Becky dodges it, hits Lyra Valkyria, which opens up the opportunity for Becky Lynch to be able to pick up the victory. So what happens next year? I think we've got, obviously, Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley is probably going to be a feud. I'm not convinced for sure that it's going to be Bayley as the heel here. I feel like if anyone has justification right now for a heel turn, it's probably Lyra Valkyria. In terms of Becky Lynch, I have to imagine that it's over, right? That we're not going to be doing Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. Remember that this was a last chance opportunity, so Lyra Valkyria can no longer challenge for the Intercontinental Championship so long as Becky Lynch is champion. So Becky Lynch is likely going off to go do something else. I don't think it's going to be a feud with Bayley here because we've already seen that. I think we're just now going to see a new opponent for Becky Lynch, and that to me in its own is very exciting. This is some of Becky Lynch's best work of her career, and I want to see her spread that love across the roster and helping prop up other women in the mid-card now. So ultimately, my thoughts are that I thought that this match was solid when it was solid, and I felt like they unnecessarily overcomplicated things, and in that process created a lull in the match that prevented this match from being able to hit that other level, that next gear, to make it as good as some of their previous matches. Ultimately, still a good match, but I would say the worst out of all of their matches that they put together. Still a really fun match with some really fun spots and some really, really gnarly usage of weapons. It's still a match I recommend. Thumbs up. I'm being hypercritical because, again, I set some really, really high expectations for this match, and I'm aware of that. That doesn't mean it's a bad match, though. Next up, though, we had Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu in the steel cage match. This match, on the other hand, I wasn't particularly in love with. I would also say that I don't think that it was terrible. I felt like they used the cage decently well as a weapon, especially like in the middle portions of the match where they're throwing each other into the cage. Really cool moment where Jacob gets thrown into the cage and he just like laughs about it, no sells it, leaving Solo Sikoa completely dumbfounded. Unfortunately, this match basically just devolved to the same thing that we've seen over and over and over again in this Jacob Fatu and MFT feud, which is MFT once again going out there and making their presence felt in a match where the stipulation is supposed to prevent, you know, other people from making their presence felt. Now, when MFT goes out there, we also have Jimmy Uso go out there. He didn't really contribute a heck of a whole lot. I'm glad that Jimmy Uso managed to get himself onto SummerSlam on some way, shape, or form. Very interesting point in the match, though, because you have to remember, like, Jacob Fatu has beaten Solo, like, handedly before with just, like, one Mighty Moonsault. He hits Solo with 2 straight Mighty Moonsaults, and Solo just, like, straight up kicks out. I haven't seen anybody kick out of the Mighty Moonsault, let alone 2 straight ones. Now, when it comes to the match choreography, like, of course, you had the babyface trying to win by pinfall and submission, and then the heel trying to win by escaping through the door. You can win by going out the door. Make it make sense. That's my Jesse Ventura impression from Saturday night's main event. But yeah, we have MFT try and climb into the cage. Tala Tonga climbs up enough to be able to handcuff, again, another handcuff spot at SummerSlam, to handcuff Jacob Fatu to the cage itself. itself, opening up an opportunity for Solo Sikoa to be able to crawl out of the cage. But of course, Jacob Fatu is a beast. He just snaps the handcuffs and stops Solo Sikoa from being able to crawl out. They're kind of just like brawling near the door until Talatanga closes the door on literally both of them, hitting Jacob's and Solo's head. But Solo is able to fall out of the cage and win in a really unceremonious way. No, Zilla Fatu did not debut. No, Tamatanga did not return. This literally was just the same members of MFT that Jacob Fatu has been beating the shit out of. I don't think that there's any one particular moment in this match aside from the double mighty moonsault that really sticks out. Like, it's a pretty forgettable match overall, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm shocked that Jacob Fatu didn't win this. I thought that it was like a given conclusion that this guy who's been dominating Solo Sikoa, dominating MFT, was probably gonna walk out as US champion and continue to be built as the next main eventer of Friday Night SmackDown. But he lost, and now I have to wonder what's next. Is it to go up against Solo Sikoa again? Because I don't want to see that. I feel like I'm kind of tapped out from this. I'd like to see something else for both Solo and Jacob Fatu, but something tells me that this is still probably going to continue, especially considering there was a post-match angle with Jimmy Uso coming back to life, throwing both JC Mateo and Tangaloa in the ring, and then we got the mighty moonsault from the top of the cage, which it would have been cool if that happened during the match as opposed to a post-match segment, but still an insane spot nonetheless to see because Jacob Fatu is an absolutely insane human being. But yeah, pretty forgettable match. Like, I wouldn't say that this was like on the low levels of like Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn. It didn't reach like that type of crater, but definitely the low point of the night if you ask me. I'll give this a thumbs down. Next up, we have Dominik Mysterio defending against AJ Styles for the Men's Intercontinental Championship. And dude, this match was so much fun. I love the fact that this match was basically just booked as one big shenanigans hijinks affair, because that's how the feud was booked. It was just hijinks. It was fun. It was funny, crazy little moments. And they basically turned the match into crazy little moments. And I really thought that it was really, really effective in that way. It starts off with AJ Styles playing mind games, going out there in a lowrider, going out there in Eddie Guerrero gear, not just Eddie Guerrero gear, but the same type of gear that he wore at SummerSlam 2005, 20 years ago, in the custody of Dominik Mysterio ladder match. Essentially telling Dominik Mysterio, hey, I'm your poppy now. All of the best points of this match was when this was an Eddie tribute. This is basically what it was. It made me a bit emotional there towards the end when I kind of clicked in that, oh man, this is 20 years since we've lost Eddie Guerrero, basically. And it really started to tug on my heartstrings because I was a huge Eddie Guerrero fan as a kid. Definitely the highlight of this was the two Eddie callbacks that they did, where Dominik Mysterio distracts the ref, brings a chair, smacks the chair against the ring, throws it at AJ Styles, falls down to the ground to try and get AJ Styles disqualified. AJ Styles then puts the chair around his neck, falls down to pretend like Dominik hit him. Ref turns around and he doesn't know what to do. And both guys are like, you hit me with a chair. Great stuff. Something that you would see from Eddie on a regular basis, like truly awesome. And then they did a callback to another Eddie moment with Dominik Mysterio loosening his boot and getting put into the calf crusher. But with the loosened boot, he was able to wriggle out and be able to take advantage of that moment to take out AJ Styles and pick up the victory. And what truly was an awesome callback to another great Eddie moment, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. Not much in terms of consequence, in terms of the result. Like AJ losing here, I don't think really does much for AJ Styles. Dominik winning here is a good like notch in Dominik's like young career as he continues to flourish and move up the mid card and potentially going into the main event scene now with that AAA match looming as well. But just a really fun match. I don't really know exactly where things go because Dominik is busy specifically with AAA. In terms of AJ Styles, you can pick anybody for AJ Styles. Just make sure that he gets into Clash in Paris so we can hear that crowd sing, baby. Yeah, this was fun. You know, I'm not going to overcomplicate things. This was nice surface level amounts of hijinks and fun. This gets a thumbs up. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the main event of the evening, the street fight between Cody Rhodes and John Cena for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And holy Holy smokes, man. This match wasn't just better than their WrestleMania 41 match. It was like by a factor of 10 trillion better than their WrestleMania 41 match. I'm so glad that they were able to prove to the world that WrestleMania 41 match was they knew it was a dud, but that it wasn't what they were capable of. Like, they could do way more, and I'm glad that they showed out in this because they had 37 minutes to show out. This match was long. I loved all of the theatrics at the beginning as well. Cody Rhodes coming out with the shattered mask. John Cena coming out initially with just the Helvetica text in black and white John Cena, but then as soon as the beat drops, it's colorful blue. He's saluting the crowd, running with the cameraman, like just nostalgia bomb, man. It was so nice seeing John Cena just be back to that form and being happy and jolly and smiling during the championship match announcement, which Alicia absolutely knocked out of the park. Now, there was still a part of me where I'm like, I'm not fully buying this, but I decided to buy it. I decided to fully allow to have myself be taken in by this, and I was in for the ride, baby. And what we got was honestly a truly, truly fun match that hit on so many different notes. Now, in terms of car crashes, I don't think that it got kind of like as car crashy as, say, the Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria match, or as anywhere near as close to the TLC match, but it still had good street fight vibes as well. And it basically was a street fight right off the get-go. You had the crutch being grabbed by John Cena from Tyrese Halliburton ringside, and he bends this thing over Cody Rhodes. He then grabs the ladder, throws it outside of the ring. Normally the guy dodges it, but no, Cody took that falling steel steps flush. We had Cody Rhodes even pull out a freaking pile driver. We haven't seen a pile driver since it was an entire story element in the Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes storyline. A banned move, by the way. Oh, speaking of fan reactions, by the way, John Cena was the clear fan favorite here. Cody Rhodes was being heavily booed here. This was a very pro John Cena crowd. Nostalgia just took over, brother. And with the match being as long as it was, it had different stages. It had their first in-ring portion. They traded some finishers. They kicked out. They go to the outside. They fight amongst the fans. There's a moment where Cena gets thrown onto a metal barricade, which was pretty gnarly. They go under the stage, and then they go onto the platform that would raise Cody Rhodes during his entrance with the smoke effect, and John Cena just has Cody Rhodes on his shoulder about to hit an AA, and one of the most badass looking visuals that I've seen in WWE in a long time hits the AA on the top of the ramp in what was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful moment. They go back to the ring. Cody then wakes up, throws Cena through a table that's in the corner, hits a crossroads. Cena kicks out, and here is where we get into the finisher fest, folks. Because back in my day, a good old attitude adjustment was able to win you a nice victory. Nowadays, 3 attitude adjustments ain't even good enough to put you away, dude. We have a moment where Cody Rhodes hits 3 crossroads on John Cena, and I was certain that it was over. I was already saying thank you, Cena. Cena kicks out of that. There's a moment where Cena hits Cody Rhodes with triple AAs, the third one being an AA off the top rope, and Cody kicks out of that too. There was some emotional theatrics as well, with Cody Rhodes tearing down the ring rope so that he could use the metal portion of the turnbuckle as a weapon on John Cena, as he's screaming at Cena stay down, I don't want to hit you anymore. But as he goes for the third attempt, Cena counters it into an STFU, and then we have an Umaga callback in the last man standing match at the Royal Rumble, when he's got the STFU with the ropes choking Cody Rhodes, in what was again another really awesome moment. We even have the title coming back into the picture, which was, of course, the crux of the WrestleMania 41 shenanigans. Cody Rhodes hesitating. There was not a moment where Cody Rhodes hesitated. John Cena was able to dodge the attack with the title and whatnot, but it proved Cody Rhodes was here to play. He was here to go for broke. I really love the ending of the match. It ended with a top rope Cody cutter through a table, and then a beautiful visual as John Cena is getting up, tired and wither, as we're 36 minutes into this match. And behind him, there's Cody Rhodes hitting him with a salute, basically giving us the "I'm sorry, I love you" moment as he hits John Cena with just one crossroads. And that's it. That's good enough to put away John Cena, and Cody Rhodes is our new WWE champion. This match was awesome. Like, it really, really was. It earned all of its time and earned all of its brutality. Again, this just sort of felt like an "I'm sorry" from WWE to fans of both Cody Rhodes and John Cena that were severely let down by their terrible match at WrestleMania 41. There wasn't a single person interfering in this match, which was such a refreshing, just such a refreshing moment, considering Triple H just loves to book run-in after running after running in these big matches. This was just a straight up one-on-one brawl, one-on-one street fight between two of the biggest names that this industry has ever seen. And that caught me off guard because there were many moments where I'm like, oh God, Travis Scott is going to come out. Oh my God, is The Rock going to come out? But we got none of that. Just a straight up fair one-on-one fight for the world title, and it was awesome. In terms of what's next, Cody Rhodes, he's scheduled to film Street Fighter, so I don't know what's next for Cody Rhodes. I don't know if he's going to be at Clash in Paris. I don't even know if he's going to be on Friday Night SmackDown. When it comes to Cena, as far as I can tell, he's scheduled for Clash in Paris, and he's scheduled for some dates in Europe. So maybe we get Cena at Clash in Paris, but against who? Let's talk about that. Because now let's talk about the return of the Beast incarnate. Brock Lesnar is back in the WWE, folks. And this came as John Cena is walking out after he already got his standing ovation. I'm like, this is it. That's the end of the show. Credits are going to roll when he's at the top of the ramp, looking back, smiling at the crowd. But no, it ended with Brock Lesnar's music hitting, him in full cowboy garb, his ponytail, his beard in tow. He comes down, circles the ring, runs in, and F5s John Cena. And that's how the show ends, with Brock Lesnar standing tall. I guess at this point you can say death, taxes, and Brock Lesnar returning from a long hiatus at F5ing John Cena, because that's now 3 times. This is crazy. I genuinely thought that Brock Lesnar was never going to be back in the WWE. I thought that TKO and WWE were going to see him basically as an unnecessary liability that could open them up to maybe a PR nightmare. But I'm assuming that TKO, the powers that be, feel pretty confident that Lesnar is no longer a liability. Maybe they have further information on what's going on with the Vince McMahon lawsuit that they feel comfortable bringing him back now. Because in terms of star power, in my opinion, they don't need Lesnar. This is a spoil of riches. This is just WWE saying, here's even more than we're already offering you, because they already have a ton of huge names on the roster, obviously. But that's the thing with WWE. At any moment, they can just put in the nuclear code launch keys and bring back a guy like Brock Lesnar into the picture. And the return of Brock Lesnar just opens up so many things here. Obviously, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, that could potentially happen as early as Clash in Paris. One of the dream matches that we weren't able to get before Brock Lesnar's hiatus, which was him versus Gunther. Now Braun Breaker versus Brock Lesnar is now in the picture, and it's a picture that makes a lot of sense because Paul Heyman is now aligned with Braun Breaker, and I'm sure that Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar will cross paths. CM Punk is there. Hell, maybe we do Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Bring back friggin' Curtis Axel, and let's just do a custody of Paul Heyman ladder match here. But absolutely insane. I didn't think that Brock Lesnar was ever going to come back to the WWE. As we talked about, like the potential PR nightmare that this might be. Again, clearly WWE does not see that. But I do think it's convenient that this is the first show that they don't do a media roundtable where the media can ask questions after the show. I think, probably smart of WWE to not open themselves up to questions about Brock Lesnar from members of the media. But yeah, man, what an absolutely shocking turn of events. What a crazy timeline that we live in. SummerSlam Night 2 was a slam dunk. The first ever 2-night SummerSlam, I thought was a slam dunk. This is, to me, a complete success for the WWE. I'm sure it'll be a huge financial success as well. That's it, folks. I'm done. Get out of here.